Welcome back. Thanks for tuning into our podcast. Today we're going to look at the first issue of The Incredible Hulk. And we're actually going to look at a few issues of The Incredible Hulk, which was published under his own title starting in 1962 for 6 issues before it got absorbed into Tales to Astonish, where it would be like half of a Hulk story and half of Giant Man or whoever.
Yeah. You know what I noticed? First thing is that they have all the main characters, minus Rick. But
yeah, where's Rick Jones?
no, he's got a gun.
He's probably playing his harmonica way out.
Right? And 2, his whole foot is smaller than his toe.
His big toe
has
the same kind of profile as the front of his shoe. He's got a big shoe toe.
And he looks so nice as Hulk there. Doesn't he look gentle?
He has softer features, yeah. Like his nose is more humanoid, and he's got those cheekbone indents and stuff. And he's, it's crazy how much the character design fluctuates, obviously over the decades, but even this issue to issue 2.
Right. And then Banner looks like Morty.
He's Morty.
He's Morty, and it's Rick and Morty.
So, fantasy as you like it.
As I like it.
Would you say this was fantasy as you like it? It's more sci-fi, don't you think?
It's definitely more sci-fi.
Is he man or monster? Or is he both?
Manster.
He's Manster.
That's a Manster.
I do like the gray, you know? Was in the 80s, they brought back the gray gangster Hulk. But that's kind of his original form. It's not a new invention. And also, the yellow is a really cool way to offset the purple background. But you got everything you need to know about his origin right here.
And he's got
missiles.
He's got demure purple pants. They're not quite Hulk purple yet.
Yeah, they had to dial in that Hulk purple. It's almost got a reddish to it or something. Maybe he washed those ones too many times. So, let's take a look at the Incredible Hulk. He's looking real weird in this panel.
He lumbers a lot. This is his lumbering stage. He's got blue pants.
And the gray almost has a bluish.
It
it's
does.
Like I don't know, gunmetal or what's the word? Anyway. So this is classic Stan Lee, Jack Kirby. And, if you're familiar with the Hulk, but you've never really delved into his backstory, you're probably going to be surprised by some stuff. Because everybody knows the Hulk is big and green, or not.
Or not. Purple pants, or not.
Becomes the Hulk when he's enraged, or as we'll see, not necessarily. Hulk speaks, Hulk speak in broken sentences. Not always, not quite, the same kind of Hulk speak that became famous. But, we'll see. I guess without further ado, he didn't even rip his pants.
I know.
Really. They're fully intact, just his sleeves. He could have just wore a cut-off tee.
These must be the Sansabelt pants.
What's that?
Was that in the 90s or 80s that like you didn't need
a belt,
but they were kind of stretchy?
He's wearing his Sansabelts.
I mean, can you imagine him wearing a leather belt, and then hulking out? He'd go through tons of money replacing those belts.
You got to get an adamantium belt or something at that point.
Or Reed Richards would unstable belt.
Do you remember encountering the Hulk? Probably not the very first time, but do you have any memories of learning about the Hulk? Or did the Hulk TV show come out in the 70s? Did you watch that when you were a kid?
Or was that in the 80s?
Was it in the 80s,
we watched
Lou
Ferrigno? Yeah.
I remember seeing it, I think, on a rerun when I was a kid, and you showed me, this is the Hulk. I'm like, what? This looks like crap.
Harsh!
Because, if you grow up in the 90s, you're seeing Hulk. It was the height of the hypermasculine illustrations. And at that point, Hulk, picks up entire buildings or can move the planet or whatever exaggerated thing. And then you see it's like, I guess he's pretty buff. He's buffer than me, but he's not he just looks like a strong guy covered in green paint.
But if you compare it to this illustrative Hulk,
it's closer to this.
Yeah,
to the spirit of the original.
Right. I mean, it would not stand up in the MC universe. But if I saw Lou Ferrigno at a Comic-Con, I'd definitely freak out.
You know
That'd be
they're going to
cool.
bring him back at some point. They're doing all this multiverse stuff.
Oh, that would be so cool.
He'll make a cameo.
That would be amazing.
He'll lift something slightly heavy. Something I couldn't lift, but not like a car. Does he lift cars in the TV show, or is he just more like...
No, yeah, he's strong.
Okay.
He would like, yeah, I mean...
Well, I know a lot of that was probably just the budget for special effects.
Oh,
They
yeah. I mean, if you think back, like even the $10 or the $1 million, what was it? The $6 Million Man. A lot of that budget was the, the sound effects of things. Yeah. So that enhanced things.
Yeah. So we're going to learn about this, one of the most amazing characters of all time. This is the G-bomb, the Gamma Bomb.
It's the Gamma Bomb.
I like how before they called it the Gamma Bomb, it's the G-bomb. So, I guess the cover lied because it's not really a rocket.
It looks friendly, like a friendly little robot.
Yeah, you can climb a ladder up there, and I don't know why you'd want to be...
Looks like it's got teeth and little eyes and little arms.
It's kind of got an R2-D2 kind of cap to it.
Yeah. Doesn't look menacing.
It's cool to see these background details blown up in the app. They're a little more vivid. Going
man.
panel by panel like this, so
It really, I think reading this comic really reinforced my love of
bombs.
Kirby. Yeah.
No, it is cool. It's crazy how much Jack Kirby
He was
did.
great. He was a great illustrator.
And the Hulk's character design is so distinct from the Thing, another muscle-bound kind of like bruiser character. I remember that was a big bias for me as a kid, being such a lover of the Thing, because the Fantastic Four was kind of one of my first favorite comics. And then, of course, the Hulk usually prevails over the Thing. So I would get all butthurt and be like, because it makes sense. Like, the guy made of rock should be tougher than the guy made of skin, even if it's green or gray or whatever.
I remember you talking about that when you were little, because your dad started reading Fantastic Four to you when you only could say a tacit four.
So, I think as an adult, I understand the differentiation between the characters because, like, they have similarities in that they're both kind of impervious to most attacks. They're strong. They're kind of monstrous. Hulk is kind of the Jekyll Hyde, though. He's kind of like, it's the transformation that makes him... That's kind of his signature thing is, I can't help but become the Hulk. And it's that duality of like the great good that a person can be and the great evil. And the Thing is more of a tragic character. He has his share of like transformations because they're trying to cure him of being the Thing and he'll temporarily become Ben Grimm again. But it's more like, I can't get a girlfriend or nobody thinks I'm normal.
A monster.
Yeah, he just wants to fit in.
I'm a monster.
Yeah, he's got monster consciousness.
Yeah.
So, they are really different. But as a kid, I was just like, well, they're two muscle guys, and I want the orange one to win.
Right.
He's the one I like better. I like this character, Igor.
Yeah.
So we start off where they're supervising the detonation of the G-bomb for the first time, which is, of course, the creation of Dr. Bruce Banner. And it's funny because I finally got around to watching that Oppenheimer movie that came out a couple years ago, and this kind of reminded me. It's obviously inspired by the Manhattan Project, but in 1962 instead of the 40s or whatever.
Right.
So it's weird to see how that trickles down into pop culture decades after. So if World War II ended in 1945, it's you're thinking, God, all those people were like annihilated by a big bomb blast. It's kind of insensitive to
bring
make
up
nuclear. But it's 62. It's pretty distant from that time, and obviously they're not using the bomb on a city in this.
Right.
In this
it's the next
context.
generation. They're gonna, look at things differently and.
Yeah. So I thought it was funny after watching Oppenheimer because like. He's supposed to be like the mastermind of like G-bomb. He's like the one guy that could figure it out. And Igor's like, it's too dangerous. Why don't you tell me how you did it? And he's like trying to get the secret of the G-bomb. It was like, if you worked for the government and had to make weapons, I don't think you'd be allowed to like keep it all a secret. and not tell your fellow scientists like what you're doing or how it works. I could be wrong
Right.
about that.
It's
but-
almost like they let Bruce just work from his head and not paper.
Right. Well, we'll see. He had paper. He hides it in a really goofy place, I remember. But that's one of the main conflicts they set up here is I still say you should have confided in us, your fellow scientists. You should have told us the secret of the gamma ray. He's like, come on, man, tell me.
True. He's
Quiet, Igor.
dismissive.
Quiet, Igor. Never hire an Igor, because as we know, Igor turns out to be a Soviet spy.
Exactly.
Who would have guessed Igor? It was either him or Ivan. I also love how the military brass are coming in, and we get to meet Thunderbolt Ross.
Oh my
here.
gosh! And they always add that Thunderbolt.
He's
whatever
such a
it's-
jerk. It's also hilarious how often
He's-
his daughter's around. Like, why did you
God.
bring your daughter to the military testing site?
And you know another thing I noticed?
She's like a grown woman in this.
Yes. And I noticed that he always goes home. Like something will happen, and then he goes home, and then they call the general at home, and he has to go back. It's like, what?
Yeah, that's a little weird. Shouldn't he be on site to handle some of this stuff if he's so important?
And he always just comes in like a thunderbolt. I guess that's. But
Well, he says, are you going to test that blame bomb or not? He gets a blamed in there, just like Ben Grimm would say. The blamed bomb.
or what's his name? Jay Jonah.
Yeah, he would say that too. Blamed. This blame bomb. Look at that smug expression on Igor's face. He likes seeing his boss get chewed out. So Bruce Banner's, like, well, we got to make sure everything's safe. I like his orange shirt there. That's kind of
That's nice.
atypical for that character design.
Yeah.
He's got his Halloween shirt on. what a panel!
He talked about over dramatic.
I know. Harrison Ford did a pretty good job, and William Hurt, I think, before him was Thunderbolt in the movies, but not quite as
Yeah.
over the top. The red really sells it behind
Yes.
there. Powerful forces, bah! A bomb is a bomb. The trouble with you is you're a milksop. You got no guts. You should have put me in charge of this test. By thunder, he even said, by thunder,
thunder.
it would have been done by now. And then we get Betty here,
And then
who's
there's
wearing.
Betty.
She's going
purple.
to be sympathetic to the Hulk. She's all in purple. She's wearing her monochromatic purple clothes that day.
I had a feeling.
This is terrible. Shut up, Betty. This is man talk. He doesn't say shut up, but like he shuts her down. It's like, why'd you bring her there? Oh, you want to go to the nuclear test site, daughter? Sure. Are you gonna tell me to shut up in front of everybody?
All the tropes in this comic book, you have the whole hyper masculinity. Then you have Betty, who's likes Banner because he's troubled. She can help. He needs help.
He's one of our most
And then-
famous scientists.
But
Not
then,
best. He's the most one of the most famous.
after she meets the Hulk, it's but he seems to need help. It's like, oh my God, I can change him.
I can fix him. Yeah. I do like, seeing it panel to panel. I read it in a black and white reprint in the trade paperback, but there's little details like I didn't notice the panel has her little hand before her character actually makes an official appearance. There's like a little
That's a great
motion
detail.
implied, or like
Yeah.
we go from the red background and it's kind of diffusing. There's a little bit of deeper red, but the mood is changing as a
That's
new character
amazing.
comes
Yes.
in. It's weird. What's he got? He's got a vape in his hand or something. Hit your vape, Dad. Just settle down. So, we get his nickname here. Don't mind Dad, Dr. Banner. Ever since he was nicknamed Thunderbolt Ross, he's tried to live up to it. Thank you, Miss Ross. And now if you'll excuse me, it's time for the final countdown. It's ding dong well about time. You ever hear anybody say that in real life?
No.
It's like blamed. It's ding
I'm
dong
gonna
well. I'm
start.
gonna start bringing it back. Yeah.
Ooh.
Igor's got like
Igor's.
the tiger stripe.
Mhm.
He's got the same orange as his shirt, but it's
Aggressive.
yeah. He's
Well, and his eyebrows.
look at those
are-
eyebrows. Yeah, he's got like who's that guy from Schitt's Creek with the big eyebrows? Eugene Levy.
Yeah.
We should have got him to play Igor. So listen, Banner, this is your last chance to tell me the secret of harnessing the gamma rays. It isn't right for you. It's like you couldn't tell him after you
Or
set off
what?
the bomb.
Right.
Yeah, it looks like he's reaching for a pistol or something. But And I like how he smokes his pipe. Like, let's make him look really scientific. You know how scientists are always
Smoking
changing
around
the
it,
circumstances of their experiments by smoking.
Right. Smoking around the electronics, that's always good.
I also like that he lets slip, like, my formulas are locked in my room and they're going to stay there. It's like, well, don't tell him where it is, idiot. He looks so imposing versus Banner here in this panel. Like, he's a bit bigger. His head's bigger. The perspective's a little funky. You fool, nobody has checked your work. If you've made an error, you might blow up half the continent. That's very similar to Dr. Doom Reed Richards, so that would have been, 1961, slightly before that, but that's the conflict when they were college roommates of like, Victor, you didn't carry the one or whatever, and it blows up, and, you bastard, I'm scarred forever. I don't make errors. So he's kind of an arrogant guy.
He is.
You know, he's got complexity. He's got flaws.
His humility.
You know, that's kind of a theme in Marvel, is like the arrogant industrialist or entrepreneur or scientist. They get in over their heads or whatever. He doesn't, he detests men who think with their fists. He shuts them down. And that guy's like, can we stop fighting? It's getting a little tense in here. We're about to set off a nuclear bomb. So he's watching the bomb in his bomb binoculars when he sees somebody's in their old jalopy. A teenager. That's how you can tell these old comics too, is they hyphenate teenager. They do that in a lot of the early FF comics as well.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't notice.
It makes me wonder if you looked up in the Oxford English Dictionary, like when did teenager enter popularity in the lexicon? I have a whole nonfiction book that I learned about from that Vsauce YouTube channel, the educational, called The Teenage. It's all about the history of, like, I guess when young people first had disposable income compared to previous generations. You know, the Silence and the Greatest Generation didn't necessarily have money to be buying comic books and stuff like that. And that's kind of the start of the teenage of, like, people who could buy records or comics and at that age.
Which is interesting because my mom was from the silent generation.
She was buying comics as an adult. She's like, I couldn't buy these when I was a teenager.
And that makes a lot of sense.
So, you know, this is the defining heroic moment, though. Like, he's an arrogant scientist, but he's like, I'm going to go catch that person before they get blown up.
Well, look, it ages him like 20 years.
Igor's like, sure, whatever. Just let him blow up. What a stroke of luck. All I have to do is keep my finger off the hold button, and it'll be the end of Bruce Banner, because Bruce told him, like, don't make sure it doesn't launch while I'm out there. So it's all Igor's fault.
It is.
I haven't read my Hulk enough, like, through the years to know. I wonder if they ever bring Igor back as an antagonist. Because I don't think he becomes Abomination. I know Abomination's a Russian guy as well.
Yeah.
I don't think that's him, though. I love how he's just tooting on his harmonica.
Yeah, he's
not a care in the world.
Cool,
yeah,
man.
The kids bet me. The kids. Cool it, man. The kids bet me. I wouldn't have enough nerve to sneak past the guards. Who would ever do that? I dare you to go into that military complex where they're testing a bomb and play harmonica.
Like, anybody knows they have, like, shooting ranges and stuff. It's like,
how can they even tell he's out there? Yeah.
You don't know.
What a goofball. So it's really Igor and it's Rick Jones' damn fault that the Hulk was unleashed on the whole world. So all the good and evil that Hulk ever does is really, they're accountable.
Bomb?
You're gonna make him think I'm chicken. Yeah, I like the double question marks. It gets the urgency. So he's helping Rick, and there is no hold button. That's the weird thing. He's like, make sure, the bomb doesn't go off, and Igor thinks to himself, all I got to do is not press the hold button. But I don't see a hold button in this panel. I see, I guess they count down, and each one lights up is how I imagine it. And when you get down to 0, you hit fire. It's like, so you really, there's no hold button. There's just don't press the fire button.
Right.
I don't know. That is a cool panel, though. This seems like it would be like, if you didn't have the words there, that's like a Roy Lichtenstein kind of thing.
The
Pop
thing
art.
that I noticed about this book is that the illustrations alone, when you go panel to panel, are so strong in conveying what the story is. And the words, if you just had the words, you could create the panels yourself in your head. both of them are so strong.
It's that Marvel method. Because
Mhm.
I think we talked about this in other episodes where in the early days, oftentimes it would be like the artist, Steve Ditko or Jack Kirby, would basically lay out the whole thing and Stan would swoop in and write. They would maybe collaborate on the idea of the story, but it wouldn't be like, okay, in this panel draw this, and then in this panel draw this. That would be up to the artist. So that is a really good point. Even the colors telling the story, because the three, it gets darker. The 2, 1, 0 until it's red. The urgency is kind of there. And that's a
Very
great
well
panel.
done,
One of
yes.
the best panels in the book, I think.
I love how he's down there ducked.
I know. Now, dang.
It's like,
It's like he's letting out a really big fart behind him as he's running away. Well, you often see that trope of the action hero strutting away confidently. They don't even look back at the explosion. He's getting blasted forward.
Right.
He's not too cool. That is a pretty cool panel in terms of color. He's bathed in the radiation. They really thought a lot of being bathed in radiation in the 60s. If you go into space, you're going to get bathed in radiation. It's going to make you a rock monster.
I remember when microwaves first came out, people were worried about the radiation that you were going to
Even in the 90s as a kid, I remember one of my friend's parents was like, don't stand too close to the microwave while it's going. It'll mix your molecules up. And that stuck with me to this day. I still don't stand too close to it. Wow, the color on this panel is amazing. And the facial expressions are just so that he really sells it. It's really,
which is interesting that the background is so green when it doesn't appear green in the first
a little
while,
foreshadowing.
little
I think I remember they said that the color costs were too much. That was why he was originally green, is to save money. And that's a cool transition. Screamed. He's still screaming.
Wow.
They pick him up and drive him home just the whole like. Hands. He's walking in the building. He's sitting on the toilet. It really messed him up.
It's like spicy food. It hurts both ways.
So he's totally out of it. He's saying, "How did I get here? My name is Rick Jones. I brought you." So that's a cool thing about the Hulk is, if you're a kid reading this,
so sneaky,
I guess you're supposed to identify with Rick Jones, and you're like, "Ooh, maybe I'll stumble across a misunderstood monster that I'll be his sidekick someday." It looks like he's almost in a prison jumpsuit with that orange.
Does.
He's kind of sketchy looking. That
He
side eye.
is.
I mean, who stands like that with their? He's got his hands up on his shoulders like that.
I didn't know how to take him at first when I first, started seeing the relationship develop. I thought he was sketchy.
It'll be interesting to see in this first 6 issues if they develop Rick Jones's character, because I know later on in the series they fleshed out he was an orphan, and they actually show scenes of him being abused by the headmaster, and that kind of like,
oh wow.
I think his friends kind of encouraged him to break out and pursue his dream of being a musician and all that, but that hasn't been established yet, so it'll be interesting to see how far they go just in the 6 months that they did this original series. So here it's getting dark. How long are they going to keep us here, Doc? That's a little foreshadowing for what's going to happen, because everybody knows the Hulk, the madder he gets, the stronger he gets, but that's not how it works in this first one. It's a Jekyll and Hyde kind of, the night brings out the freakiness in him. That's a cool white moon.
It's almost like any werewolf movie you've ever seen.
Right, they got to make it a full moon. It's like,
in the window, and then
where it's almost like
strange.
they're using the audience's prior knowledge. Like, you're probably familiar with the werewolf mythology. We'll just kind of put our own twist on that. This is funny. The whole world's going bad. Even this kooky radio, it won't play. All it gives out with is static. Click, click, and he's like, "You moron! That's a Geiger counter." It's because I'm emanating radiation that's probably giving you cancer right now. Right. Oh, I thought it was one of those wacky new songs on the radio. So it's clicking more and more, and of course we get our first transformation scene. He's saying it's getting louder and louder, faster and faster. It's almost like the radiation just starts coming out of him. It's like when you get a sunburn, I imagine, and you touch your skin and it's still warm.
Yeah.
That's probably how he's feeling. Look how blue he is, though.
And he looks almost kind.
I don't know. Part of it, I wonder, how much do they touch up when they scan this stuff in the digital realm? I wonder how it would have looked on the newsprint. Because, you know, even if you get a facsimile, it's going to be that shinier paper.
Right.
So he's looking real Halloween-y, though, with that orange shirt.
And
And
depending on how you read that, it's like, hey, look at you, changed. Or, hey, look at you,
yeah, he's having a
changed.
glow up. It's like, look at those cheekbones and that chiseled jawline. He's like, I better go get bathed in radiation. I mean, you do get blue and break out of your clothes, but he's buff now. It's weird how he's kind of got a little bit of a Frankenstein forehead, not quite as
Yes.
blunt and big, but yeah, he's got very like leading man. He's got the butt chin line, and it's he's not as grotesque as in the very next issue. We'll see he's looking a lot
Well,
darker.
and some of these next panels.
Yeah, even panel to panel, it's like you caught him on his good angle there. And then, ooh, not quite. It's like when middle-aged men take a selfie and then you see their
Oh,
neck fat or whatever.
yes.
It's a little. He's looking a little broader. His head here.
But then you see the attitude he has.
I know
Get
this
out
is
of
what
my
I
way,
mean.
insect.
Yeah, get out of my way, insect. He's using commas to address the subject and everything. It's not quite the broken English. And to call someone an insect, I feel like, you know, the modern Hulk would be like, little man is insect, out of way, or, you know, something
Yeah.
like that. But it's pretty normal speech for the Hulk at
That's
first.
true. I think
That's a weird. He's looking a little.
he changes every single
He's
panel.
almost looking like Shaquille O'Neal here for a second. His facial features are really fluctuating, and look, his nose design changes quite a bit depending on the angle.
I mean, I guess you could say that maybe the radiation is still unstable, so it's kind of,
Yeah.
you know, it's loosey goosey.
It's easy to retcon,
Mhm.
or they're just, you know, this is the first time he's drawn them, so he's just
Exactly.
making it up as he goes along. He's probably under deadline, and it's
Oh,
amazing what he did. You know,
absolutely.
he's creating all this stuff from scratch, and Stan Lee's like, have it on my desk by Thursday, or you're out of here. Okay, Stanley.
Whoa.
No, it's Stan Lee. Put that space there. I love this part because a lot of the feats of strength are just wrecking buildings and stuff. Holy cow, he's breaking down the wall like it was cardboard. I love how it comes out in this sort of neat square.
Yes, I noticed that throughout this issue.
It's like he's putting a hand on it and he's knocking on it at the same time. It's a weird pose. He's got his little
And
boots
falling
on,
backwards.
I guess. Is that his skin? It almost looks darker than the
Oh,
torso, but
it
yeah,
does,
it must
but
be
it
his
is
skin.
shadowed, yeah.
That's a good panel.
Out.
And I was surprised how action-packed this first issue is. You have your exposition, but they get to wrecking stuff. They know their audience is, 9-year-old boys or whatever is their prime
absolutely.
demographics. They're like, have them punch something by page 4.
And then the army sees them. Men, more little men.
That's more in line with the Hulk speech, but still a little different. He's got the 2 exclamation points though, so you know he's serious. And this is a funny thing, how they justify the names of like the Thing, the Hulk. I think in the first Fantastic Four, he's like, look at me, I'm some sort of thing, and then it just sticks. Well, a similar thing happens with
It's
Hulk.
like they don't slow down.
Look at the motion though. When you go panel to panel, it gives it a dynamism
It
of
does.
like it's almost like the car's moving.
I
Boom!
love Kirby's drawing of motion. It's-
Like that's what he seems to be famous for. All the like more scholarly research stuff that's Kirby
Even
based,
the
they're always
feet.
talking about him being the game changing thing he did is motion and just the action of it, even if it's not always like scientifically precise for how the physics
look
would
at the-
work. But
look at
this
the
looks convincing to me.
line of
I don't know
the
why he'd be
pants.
going back if everybody's being launched forward, but maybe he didn't have his.
Well, he was.
He had his
standing out-
safety belt on. These guys didn't. I don't know.
But he was standing in the back. But look at this line here on his pant hem. You could see where he just so.
That's so
you know,
expressive. He's
yes.
like, yeah, I can color outside the lines or draw outside the lines. It's okay. I'm a pro.
Yeah,
That's something
it's
I remember
great.
trying to draw as a kid and being so conscious of sloppiness and not being able to do the geometry right. But, it's not about doing it perfect necessarily.
No, his motion.
But to
studies
tell
are
you the truth,
great.
as a kid, I didn't really like this style of art. I grew up in a different era, and so it just looked. For some reason, I equated old with lame. It's like
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the old style. 1991, Jim Lee's doing X-Men.
Oh,
number
yeah.
one, and it's all this hyper detailed cross hatching and super muscles and pouches everywhere, and it's just so different that it was hard for me to appreciate this as a kid.
I was thinking about those books when I was reading this issue, because everything is so solid and works together so well, and how he can make his characters emote, that it seemed like the bigger, burlier guys, the more heavily muscular guys, didn't seem to have the facial, like their anger didn't look as angry as Jack Kirby could get it. You know, they had the motion, they had the muscles.
It's almost
they
by
had the
turning it up
pound.
to 11, they just kind of lost some of the
Yes,
humanity
yes.
or something. Yeah, I get what you mean. Well, it also shows how you change as an audience, because as a kid, really, I'm looking for the biggest splash page, the most color and detail, or just the biggest explosion or punch or whatever. And that can still be cool, but as an adult, you're more reading the emotion of the faces, like you're
Oh
talking
yeah,
about.
I mean,
And
look at this guy.
Jack Kirby's kind of bringing a maturity to it. That
Yeah,
compared to
yeah,
that.
you know exactly what
era.
they're thinking or feeling.
You hurt his
Oh,
shoulder, I
owie.
guess. That is a cool pose, though, because the anguish.
Yeah.
He's a tortured character, and you got to put him in those. He's not Superman puffing his chest out. You
Not
know?
yet, not yet. Oh yeah, I
That
like it.
forward posture is so weird. He's lumbering. You know, it's almost like he's knuckle dragging like a big ape or something.
Mhm. And when you got to think that he's gonna still feel weird, you know, because
Yeah, he
he's
probably
still
gets the
Bruce
boops a little
Banner.
bit. He got bathed in radiation. He's probably got an upset tummy.
Oh.
That's got good motion too, though, as he
Yeah, it
walks
does.
into the horizon there.
And Rick comes in. Hey.
And a legend is born. Yeah, you saved my life. You need me now. Wait, saved your life and he needs you? If anything, he needs
What?
less of you. You're just
Right?
trouble. I'm going with you. But that's probably every little boy's dream, is some adventure sweeps them away from home or whatever.
Right.
I like in the single panel mode, they break it up. You just see the thought before you see him. I will say, for the most part, they do a really good job in the smart panel mode.
Yes.
Where they break it up, these hard to represent panels in a really smart way. I'm really impressed with the app, honestly.
Yeah, I love it.
It's like they don't see him. He's right around the corner. So yeah, they're all looking for the Hulk here in the haze of the nighttime. You think it would actually be pretty bright, because we established it's a full moon, and usually
Well,
that reflects a lot of...
Go back there and you'll see this is it. Fan out, man. We've got to find that Hulk.
Oh yeah, I was just
There's
talking
his
about
name.
that Hulk. And then
And
Hulk's
then-
over there thinking, hey, I kind of like the way that
Well,
sounds.
the very next guy. Look sharp there. Don't let the Hulk get his hands on you.
This guy's like, hey, I came up with that. I want credit.
Hey, it's stuck, buddy.
I was the first one to call him it. Well, back at the base hospital, it's impossible. Nothing could have smashed a 2-foot thick concrete wall, but he did. The Hulk did it. I love these, like when they're talking about what the
Whoa.
soldiers thought they saw the first time they saw the Hulk. This is weird.
That
It's
is
almost like
very
he's losing some
Frankenstein.
muscle mass too in this
Frankenstein going to the pond to meet the little girl.
angle.
Ooh, yeah. He's reaching.
He's
his-
almost getting greenish there. It's
Getting
hinting
there.
at green. And then he's really monochromatic. He's driven by sheer instinct. But you know, they even in this first issue, like, to get back into their heads, of course they're trying to create a character that lasts and they could do for a few months, but also some of the really early Jack Kirby stuff we've seen, a lot of it's one-offs. Remember the
True.
Damaged comic we looked at? One of the monsters, I don't know if it was Where Monsters Dwell or what, one of those ones that we got, where they're just individual stories. They're,
Right, the
you're not
supernatural
expecting
story, yeah.
to see Goom or whatever monster of the week to come back. Maybe you'll see the son of Goom a few months later or
right.
whatever, but usually they don't. It's not going to be a self-sustaining series. So the point I'm trying to make is they even establish here the part of the Hulk, which is still Bruce Banner, heads for a small cottage. So that's a thing that stayed with the character of, like, somewhere in there's a Banner voice. Or when he's Banner, somewhere in there is the Hulk consciousness, and they're two distinct identities, that kind of multiple personality trope.
Yes.
And obviously they developed it in great detail, in the Peter David era, where he becomes several different versions with the Gangster Hulk, or there's Rampaging Hulk, there's Smart Hulk, there's Smart Hulk parts his hair down the middle. He has a comb. I used to think that was a cool look when I was a kid.
That's a funky look.
He got a little smushed. He's like a melting Halloween jack-o'-lantern in November or something. But I do like the color in the foreground here. That's cool to show, I guess, maybe the searchlights or the ambient lighting at night.
Or like with the camera, the shifting focus.
And he's almost got a posture of like, okay, don't walk too heavy. Just sneak up behind this guy. The third cabin, that is where I must go. So he's got kind of like a Frankensteinian speech, but that's one thing that's hilarious about Frankenstein is in the movies he's got the halting, it's like, oh, or like in the Son of Frankenstein, the putting on the Ritz, where he sounds just like, yeah. But in the freaking novel, the Mary Shelley, he's so eloquent. Like it's told from his point of view, and he's using all this, romantic era prose, and
Which
it's like, where did they ever get the idea that he's an idiot?
Well, then I think that having him more literate makes it scarier,
right? Because he's like a thinking, feeling being trapped. It's easier to sell the humanity of him. It's like it's more like The Thing, I guess. That's because he's a smart, normal guy trapped in a monster's body. So it's interesting that they're so similar, but there are those distinctions. And we get to see Igor here. He's ripping through his stuff because Dumb Banner told him it was in his room. I guess, that's probably pretty logical. That would be in there. I do love where he ends up finding it, though. So the Hulk sees him. I love how Igor's like, an intruder, well, you will not live to report Igor to the security police. The security police? One or the other. I guess he's speaking English as a second language, but who says security police? Why not just the police?
Though, so maybe
they'd be MPs. Military police is usually what they call them.
That's definitely a Frankenstein pose.
Yes. Like, don't look at me, I'm too hideous. And I love how the gun is already smoking. He's reaching for the gun. He already got a shot off. He didn't even feel it. I don't know if maybe that's like we don't want to show a bullet entering somebody's body to kids or something.
Right.
But it also kind of speeds the thing up, though. Like, ooh, he already got a shot off with his 38, and still he advances. And it's like, gosh, we see him crush this gun in a minute. Poor Igor's hand is going to be wrecked. I always hate when guys have to shake your hand super hard.
And the motion from the last panel to this one again is very nicely done.
And this is not Hulk speech. You will shoot me no more.
Definitely not.
I was thinking about like asking you before we recorded, like, what's your favorite panel or least favorite panel or like the funniest, unintentionally maybe. But I would say this is one of my favorite sequences, is this slow action of these few things just to illustrate his raw strength. It's simple. There's nothing in the background. He's got kind of a weird, constipated expression, but the gun here, this is such a cool sequence. And it's cooler in single panel mode than the traditional mode, having it in one page, because it makes it more deliberate. So he's smashing all his stuff, and he's in a lab smashing stuff. Very Frankenstein, very Jekyll and Hyde, because Jekyll and Hyde, he was a scientist too, right?
Yeah.
Why should I want to be human? They're establishing this idea of like, well, who's the real monster? That's a trope that comes by of like, well, I look like this, but maybe there's some aspects of humanity that are monstrous too.
Oh, this one, yeah.
You're the one that shot me, remember?
Yeah. This is so nice. Nice sequence of events. Oh my God! Yes, that's one.
That's so stupid.
That's up top for stupidest.
Not stupid. I mean, we love the comic,
stupid,
and we respect all the creativity that way. But sometimes it's you poke fun. It was a kid's comic in 1962. Where am I going to hide all those gamma plans? I know. I'll put them in a manila folder and masking tape them to the bottom of a transparent beaker.
Exactly.
No one will see. What's on the bottom of that beaker, Bruce? Nothing.
It would have been different had it been like maybe full of some yellow or some murky
Yeah,
kinda chemical or
sometimes
something?
they introduce them to flames, so maybe it gets burnt and opaque as it wears out or something.
But burning that one would not be a good idea.
That's what I mean. Is like we'll never burn this one because this one's all wore out. So
there you
this is
go.
where I'll carefully tape an entire folder of plans. Just put it in a locked drawer. You'd be better off
Yeah.
than taping it to some random thing.
Yeah.
That's silly. Looks important. We better get it to the army. I'll bet you wrote it while you were Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner! Why do those words stay in my head? What is that name to me? You get the double question mark. That face, I know that face.
I do like that panel too.
That would be like a Roy Lichtenstein pop art panel. You know how he has those, like, usually from the romance comics of, like, the smell of her lingers or whatever, and it's just, like, out of context panel. That would be, if it wasn't a superhero, it would be very similar.
Oh.
But, this kind of stuff, it reminds me, Stan Lee did get his start writing romance in those types of comics.
Right.
Before Marvel superheroes was a thing. So he understands the psychological aspect of, like, the melodrama that you need to
Right.
add to the action.
And they're really using Rick as a way to tell Hulk and to tell us and to guide us in his emotional journey here as he's discovering Banner and Hulk, the two personalities, and and he's saying, you can't hate it. It's you.
I know, that's a funny transition, and it almost made me laugh, like, just how mundane the portrait of him is, and he looks kind of sad, and this guy's like, he's so weak, soft, and it disgusts him.
But
and it's himself. Everybody has a little bit of self-loathing in them. I think it makes it relatable.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And there's a Hulk comic, I can't remember which one it was, I left it here with you, that I read that gives insight into why Banner hates
his
violence.
childhood abuse. Yeah, that was a
abuse.
thing. That was an aspect that Peter David, I think, introduced to the character in the later series.
And his father.
Right, his father was abusive to him and his mom, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get more eloquent Hulk. I seem to remember now it was the bomb, the gamma rays. They turned me into this when darkness fell. And Rick's like, that's why I'm staying with you. He just chucks him across the room.
I know.
There's a little bit of slapstick to it.
Yes, all the Chuck and Rick is, it's a lot.
So the sun is starting to rise. This is like that classic Liechtenstein print of the sun rising.
This is one of my favorite panels. Because
Yeah. The color is amazing.
It puts ambiguity in who the Hulk is. All of a sudden you're like, oh my God, what?
Yeah, did he hit
Are
the
you
base
gonna-
of his skull on this table?
Could it kill him? When I first read it, I
Oh
thought,
yeah. Well, yeah, he's saying you're the only one that knows, so I got to
And-
tie up loose ends.
Yeah, you know where
Good
that
thing the
sentence
sun's
goes
coming
to.
up. Gosh,
Yeah.
Hulk could have taken a darker turn. That's
Mhm.
for sure. He gets all funky feeling though with the rising sun. His brain's on fire. Feels as though a veil is lifted. I can think again. Woo! Good thing his glasses fell off intact.
Right? And Rick is just like, it's okay.
You almost killed me, but we'll just move past it. This is the police. Where is he? Where's the Hulk?
And of course they bring Betty. I mean,
She's like, I gotta get another monochromatic outfit. Red this time, because we're in danger.
the Hulk.
I must mean you, Doc. You get the hyphen, or what would you call that? The little dotted line. I think that's the whisper in the sotto voce or whatever. Like,
but he doesn't
stage
realize
whisper.
he's like that Will Ferrell character who can't modulate the sound of
or
his voice.
I was thinking the Homer Simpson where they have to get new identities. Like, nice to meet you, Mr. Johnson, and Homer can't like answer to a new name. It's like, I think he's talking to you. I remember laughing so hard at that. Another funny convention of these early Marvel comics is they're like, well, it's 20, I think it was 24 pages in the reprint, 24, 26. They're like, kids probably don't have the attention span, so put it in 5 parts, even though it's pretty short. Also, they really got those
They've got some
those
funky boots.
dress uniforms. They hike those socks up. Got your sock garters on.
No, those are boots, but why are
No,
they
it's
white
a
on
sock
top?
garter.
Yeah.
They're low cut. I was looking at it like it was like a low cut shoe with white socks. They tuck their pant leg into their socks and put a little belt around it. That's kind of formal.
Empty.
That's how you know they're safety police.
So, but they do find Igor.
Yep, Igor's been subdued. They still have the folder, so it was like, this was taped to the bottom of a beaker. And this is one of your smart scientists? One of your most famous minds? Look, he's good at gamma, not so good at like anything else.
Boy.
We were in the Jeep, which hit the Hulk. This is funny. They're like, we think it was a gorilla.
Oh, yeah.
And then the other guy's like, no, it was a bear and he had clothes on.
Yes, that's a great panel.
It gives them plausible deniability. They're like, who knows? It's all gone now,
I mean, in the dark, either one of those things would look like a big hulk of a thing.
Yeah. I like his easygoing facial expression. He's just trying to play it off. So,
adapts
yeah, it was
well.
probably that bear with clothes on.
Definitely the bear.
And so, of course, Betty's the sympathetic voice of like, somebody's got to see the humanity in him in another, Rick does, but he's also kind of an adventurous, irresponsible person, so we have to put a more grounded character to like identify with Bruce's problem here.
Yeah, true.
Even if she doesn't know at this point he's the Hulk, she's still worried about him,
Yeah.
You gotta have that romance aspect, and that's another thing that changes in the Hulk mythology is like he's got to be bandaged up from that bullet. But in newer Hulk, I think by the time he changes from one to the other, he usually heals. Like the being the Hulk's impervious skin, he wouldn't have had to heal from that.
Right.
But they probably retcon that of like, well, right after the explosion, his powers were still developing, so a 38 slug would actually hurt him, and they changed that. Even Rick doesn't have time for all this romance. Oh, revolting. It's weird, he's a little shorter than them, but he looks so adult in it. He looks like James Dean or something.
Oh, yeah, definitely based off of James Dean. Boy.
They kind of I guess he was in a hurry because we get all this ornate detail of what his bedroom looks like. He's like, well, we can't do all panels like that detailed. This is an ominous, the one though, with the night sky becoming purplish blue here, and he knows it's going to be night again, and who knows, is this an every night thing for me, or is it just like my night terrors where it's like every few months, or he's just got such a dead stare. He's like a condemned man here.
Well, that would be. Oh.
This is one of my.
Yes.
The gun crumpling, but this transition is awesome.
Yes.
His eyes get all dark there until.
And the words.
He's looking like Jeffrey Dahmer or something. He's looking
Yeah.
scary.
Oh, yeah.
Even in his human form, it's like, what's this guy up to?
Yeah. And part 4, Enter the Gargoyle.
Yeah, this is funny because we think when you think of Hulk villains, you probably think Abomination, the Leader, just generally the world when he's on a rampage. But not many people know about the Gargoyle. So we see Igor brooding in his cell, and they're like, yeah, you think you have me locked up, but I got this fingernail phone.
That was one of my favorite panels. So
It's
it reminded me
imaginative.
of the show Get Smart from the 60s.
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah, the shoe
70s,
phone.
yeah.
Is that the one?
Mm-hmm.
So he transmits a message behind the Iron Curtain, because we got to remember we're in Cold War era here. So the biggest foe would be Russia. I guess that's becoming more and more true today,
And
too.
in Russia, it's the Gargoyle.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, they're like, it's a little tacked on, but they introduce this character in the second to last part, the Gargoyle, who becomes the main antagonist.
Well, and they introduce his power through the fear of his underlings. Each one of them gets the message and like hands it down to the one who's lower than them to take it because they're all
true.
scared of him.
I like that part. Is this supposed to be Nikita Khrushchev, or is that the Kingpin?
Good point.
I also like, in the USSR, they let you smoke cigarettes on duty, but in America, you have the pipe-smoking scientist. It's more classy in America.
So each guy that is represented is lower than the guy who hands off the paper.
A lot more facial hair in the
Yeah,
in, the
right.
in the ranks of the USSR. Those hairy bastards.
It's
Each
like,
one
"Oh
of
my
them has a
God."
weirder mustache than the last. And yeah, this is funny because he's like, the gargoyle, the most feared man in all of Asia. He's, I'm right behind the door. I can hear you say that.
Yes, yes.
This is why people are scared to see me, is because you don't talk about me in a nice way.
Although I have to say, this next few panels were some of my favorites because I
Gosh.
did not expect him to look like this.
Well, who's that old-timey actor that talks like this? That
Oh.
character actor, Peter Lorre.
Peter Lorre,
He
yes.
could have been the gargoyle.
Oh, absolutely.
He's got that weird kind of vibe.
Absolutely.
But yeah, he's got one eye's bigger than the
And
other.
then-
He's got the leader head. So that was something they established. They're like, Hulk's got really big biceps. What if his foe had a really big brain?
And he maintains his intellect, so of course he has a big head. He's got a big brain in there.
Comically big.
Wild ass eyebrows, though.
Yeah, he's in Russia where the hair flies free. It's coming out of
Ooh,
his
his
ears.
ears?
He's got kind of elven ear
Yeah,
there too.
yeah.
So he hears about the Hulk, whose power almost matches his. He's got to bring him back as a prisoner. So how does he accomplish this? He transmits a message to a Soviet sub, and that fish is like, oh.
The Reds. The
They
Reds.
send out a man-carrying rocket.
Right, right.
And the American radar picks it up. Unleash our Hunter missiles, but they've already accounted for this. They know that it's going to get shot down mid-flight, so the nose cone comes off.
Because the gargoyles got Russia beating us at this
Yeah,
point.
they're more technologically
Mhm.
superior, I guess, because it's time for the gargoyle to meet the Hulk. He's got his gloves on, and we come back to our duo here, driving through the desert, and he's like, I'm going to become a savage brute. You're brainy and cultured and all that jazz.
I know, I love that.
He's the most famous missile expert in the world. I mean,
And
he's,
all that jazz.
he's probably one of my top 10 favorite missile experts. When I think about all those missile experts that I know.
Oh, no.
Even the teenagers. He was in Teen Vogue. He did an interview. It's weird that Rick Jones would know missile experts.
Oh, and there it starts. The hands.
Yep, the hands. It's cool that they can also zoom in on just one part of his anatomy to depict the change. So it's not gonna get too monotonous where he's doing the same
Go back one.
poses of anguish.
I love how he goes, look at your hands. Keep your hands on the wheel. Look out. In the very next panel.
Boom! Wheel, who cares about the wheel? Thud! Who cares about anything? It's a lot more nihilistic as the
Yeah.
Hulk.
Oh, and then how he sneakily comes out of the.
I know. We think of the Hulk. The modern Hulk is there's no sneak about him, really.
Right.
He's in your face. He's everywhere. He's running on top of buildings and tearing them down and jumping miles at a time. But he's creeping. He's getting out of the wreckage and
Moving very.
he's doing his Kubrick stare or whatever.
Yeah.
He's creepy. So they survive the crash. He's got to go to General Ross's house because Betty lives there. And he's like, no.
Of
you
course
don't
he
wanna see
remembers Betty. Nobody else. This is weird as heck.
Yeah, look at those drooping lips.
Yes.
The funky.
But
I'm not really sure why they call him the gargoyle. He doesn't look like any gargoyle.
I know.
I've ever
That's
seen.
why I was really surprised at what he looked like. But then when you think about it, as his story unfolds, they really want you to see how kind of disgusting
Yeah.
he is.
It's the idea they do the same thing with mutant powers. We're like, well, you think this person has been changed into something really weird, but it could have been this much worse.
Right.
So it's being bad. It's bad being Hulk, but if radiation makes you the gargoyle,
Here's what I mean. Somehow I feel he needs me.
yeah, she has got a type, and it's not good for her.
No.
Oh,
What is
Dad.
it, girl?
If only things were as simple as your day, when a cavalry charge or a squad of infantry men could solve anything. I'm like, when did you think he was born? I'm picturing guys with like sabers on horses making a charge. Like you think he was in like the freaking Revolutionary War or something?
Well, and it's like, what history are you thinking about there, Betty?
I know they probably still called it a cavalry charge of some sort for World War II. I guess would be the most.
Yeah,
or
but
Korea
she's-
would have been the most recent.
She's
conflict.
thinking of a romanticized
Right.
history that
It's like you go to
didn't
work with your
exist.
dad every day, and that's what you think it looks like.
Right.
When are you gonna get a job, Betty? Don't you have to go to school?
Kind of getting sick of you.
I like how his solution. You need a little fresh air. It's like the yellow wallpaper thing. She's just having woman brain problems,
Yep.
so she wanders into the desert as you do.
And perhaps I can tell myself it was all a dream.
I
There
didn't.
is no hope.
I did not notice this detail reading
Whoa.
it in. His shoe is still partially intact.
But his
He
feet,
burst
his
through.
toes.
Yeah, his toes burst through. That's a detail I
His
did not
socks.
know. He's got his sock garters on, so they didn't come off. Very Frankensteinian sort of
Yes.
confrontation here. No.
Then of course she faints.
Right,
and
and
he's
he
like,
manages
"Thank
to be so gentle with her. He's throwing Rick across the room for no reason at all and bursting through walls, but he just catches her gently. Bah, just like all weak, helpless creatures. Shut up. Nobody tells the Hulk.
Oh
And
gosh.
here comes the gargoyle.
I love it. Rick's face there.
Yeah, that is expressive. It's a little off-center or something. It kind of adds to the drama.
Yes.
I love, they've established that no puny pistol can kill the Hulk, but they've upped the ante because there's a different kind of gun. It shoots pellets of his own invention, and they make you a slave. They're slavery
There's
pellets.
Slavery pellets.
They're
Yep.
mind control pellets. And he's like, you don't seem that impressive, but I'll shoot you with a mind control pellet too, Rick. And so he's like, all right, get up. He's like, Gargoyle,
do.
will you marry me? That's what it's looking like. And Rick's like, no, don't do it, Hulk. You're not ready for this kind of commitment.
What about Betty?
How easy it is for the gargoyle to be victorious.
Oh, and the
It
General
was horrible.
Caesar. Gosh.
It was the Hulk. He came from out of
That
the darkness.
is
He was
so
terrifying.
emotive.
Oh yeah, the facial expressions, even without a mouth, like the eyebrows and the eyes, really sell the mood.
The line thickness. His lines are.
That's what you want to hear after
amazing.
you get kidnapped. There.
Right.
Just get some air.
But where did he go?
So he makes an oath to destroy the Hulk, thus spawning their decades-spanning feud.
And he does nothing to get her into therapy to where she can learn that she doesn't need to fix the Hulk.
I'm sure fresh air and exercise will fix it.
Work on yourself, Betty.
So we see the gargoyle has mind-controlled another American driver here. I guess he didn't get his license. Like, wouldn't it be... You're using up those pellets left and right. Just drive the truck yourself.
Right. I mean, yeah, because he's got a boat.
Mind
Well, the
control the
Soviet
Hulk.
boat.
And also, I was thinking, why not have the Hulk row? He can row way faster and stronger than anybody. I guess if he rowed on one side, though, they get like 3 or 4 guys on the other side, it might balance out. But yeah, he just
True.
stands awkwardly in the back of this boat. And then they're going to take a rocket from the sub. That's the best way to get back
First
behind
time
the
the
Iron
Hulk
Curtain.
goes into space.
Right? Cosmic Hulk already. Well, he like brushes it. He's at the edge of space.
The edge of space.
Let's be accurate here. They go to the edge of space and then they land, but the daylight rays transform him back into Bruce, and Gargoyle doesn't look back in the cockpit for a few minutes. He's like, "What?
Look at
Who
how
are you? What happened to the Hulk?
strange they make
My
Gargoyle
face is
there.
very abstracted all of a sudden." He's always got his glasses, right? I was cleaning them for you. And so he says, you're the foremost atomic scientist. So he's a rocket expert, he's an atomic scientist. Banner.
Right.
And they put him in jail. Your secret is a secret no longer, Banner. I know that you and the Hulk are the same. Doc, what do we do now? Easy, Rick, it's his play so far. But why?
This transition was so fast.
So unexpected. You think they're going to break out and he's going to beat the gargoyle up, but no, they've got another twist in store because he's an anguished person himself. He said, why would you want to be a monster? You must be insane. It's the most horrible thing in the world to be a freak, a gargoyle like me. And then he's like, oh, you got named after the first thing that someone said about you? Yep, Hulk. Some guy said Hulk, and now I'm the Hulk forever.
This panel.
He's in his Hulk purple. That's how we know he's more sympathetic all of a sudden. I'd give anything to be normal. Anything. Why is he wearing green pants?
Yeah, I don't know. Oh,
they were green. They
they're
were green. It was Rick that had the blue jeans on. So he's like, I could probably cure you. I am a brilliant scientist.
Why is it with Bruce Banner, gamma rays are always the thing to fix everything?
Yeah, it's like the cause of and solution to all of our problems.
Yes.
Well, he says you would no longer be a brilliant scientist. He's going to use his expertise to help the gargoyle, but I guess it would take it would shrink his giant cranium.
Oh, man, look at that profile.
Even if he dies, he wants to be normal. That's kind of sad.
It's very sad.
So he bathes him in radiation.
I love this panel, though.
Yeah, that escalated quickly. He's like, I die, do anything. And they're like, all right. In a movie, that would be a great smash cut. No transition, just like, he's being irradiated now. That zoom in is cool.
Yeah, it is.
There's that sound effect. You did it. I look a lot like this portrait.
But it took an American to cure me.
He wants to defy, I guess that must be the premiere, because they say...
So in turning him, they turned him.
Yeah, they turned him over to the forces of democracy. Because we'll irradiate you and make you more beautiful. They won't do that for you in the USSR. That's the dangers of communism. Born ugly, tough cookies. So it looks like a huge fart has been released behind him when they... You dare interrupt when I'm speaking to the premiere. I love the cigarette midair. Yeah, he drops his cigarette. They get their gas masks on because I guess you gotta have those handy in this kind of work environment. He's taking his escape rocket, but no,
escape rocket.
It isn't the gargoyle who took the escape rocket. It's the newly handsome gargoyle who's helped Rick and Bruce escape in the rocket. He's no longer brilliant, no longer a scientific genius. His work is done, and he's gonna die. But he's gonna die as a man. It's like, really? You just wanted to look normal for 5 seconds and then die?
I know, he went from world domination to, I'm okay to die, like, so quick.
Right, or like, once you got cured, you all rode the rocket there, why don't you go with them?
And I thought, at first, the more I thought about it, the way that Bruce was like, well, it's in his hands now, and he gave in so quickly that maybe that triggered in the gargoyle the man part of him that was just like tender.
He's like, I was just being hyperbolic, but these guys are ready for me to die. It's like, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they established that he couldn't have gone on the rocket. No, I don't think they say anything.
No,
about
they don't.
I guess they needed a guy to be the button man to stay behind and trigger the explosion.
Well, and he wants to defy the Russians, so he has to blow it up.
Don't trigger that switch.
Defy means blow up.
Well, in the rocket ship above, the gargoyle set its controls for America, Rick, and set the automatic escape ejector. I'm like, you've got automatic ejector, automatic controls, but you can't rig up an automatic bomb and get on the rocket with them and leave.
True, yeah.
So Bruce Banner and Rick are safe, as it says, for now, but in a few hours it will be nightfall again, and the Hulk will again appear, so don't miss the next great surprise-filled issue as the USSR blows up behind them. That's a funky expression. Listen, that blast. What is it? It's the end of the gargoyle, and perhaps the beginning of the end of the Red Tyranny, too. So, and remember to mail your knocks or boosts to the editors. Knocks and boosts. You got any knocks for this one?
So, yeah, it's a good episode. Or a good issue.
I think it was mostly boosts.
I think it was definitely mostly boosts.
All right, if you enjoyed watching this, give us a subscribe, and thanks for watching. We'd love to read your comments.